In 1797, a diplomat subverted the will of an entire room without uttering a single word. He used a hidden weapon against which any open aggression is powerless. What if true dominance is not about shouting, threats, or pressure, but about the complete absence of any need to prove your strength? During the Renaissance, this phenomenon was named Sprezzatura. It is the rare art of masking all your efforts and appearing flawless without any visible striving. Most people make a critical mistake. They try as hard as possible to look important, authoritative, and strong. But our subconscious reads this as a non-verbal sign of weakness and tight dependency on external opinion. The one who tries to prove they are in charge has already lost. Strength needs no demonstration. It governs the atmosphere in silence. The second hidden tactic of destructive personalities is tactical ignorance. Time after time, the manipulator deliberately violates your boundaries and to any complaints innocently replies, "I did not know this was so important to you." This is not stupidity, nor is it forgetfulness. It is a calculated control strategy. By playing dumb, the manipulator forces you to waste resources on endless explanations, completely stripping themselves of responsibility. How do you destroy this game? Apply Sprezzatura. When they tell you once again, "I did not know," do not start explaining yourself all over again. Turn on total, cold indifference. Say calmly your problem and close this topic forever. The third fundamental tool used against you is the manipulation of scale, or the hidden contrast principle. To force you to agree to unfavorable terms, they first deliberately show you the worst, most terrifying scenario. Against the backdrop of this artificial disaster, any of their real demands will seem like salvation and a minor trifle. Your psyche is wired so that it is incapable of evaluating things in isolation. We always compare everything. If a scene of total collapse is played out before you first, your brain instantly shifts into panic mode. Normal logic shuts down. You voluntarily give the manipulator what you would never give in a sober mind just to avoid a fictional threat. The only way to crush this trap is a harsh grounding. The moment you feel they are scaring you with a catastrophe, artificially isolate their offer. Ask yourself, if this terrifying backstory did not exist, would I agree to these terms right now? Cut the emotion, regain control. The fourth sophisticated method that drives a victim into a dead end is the creation of a psychological stalemate, or a double bind. The manipulator deliberately places you in conditions where any choice you make, any action, or even complete inaction will automatically make you guilty. If you remain silent, you will be accused of indifference and passive aggression. If you start to defend yourself, you will immediately be called hysterical and a toxic troublemaker. The goal of this technique is not to resolve the conflict, but to completely paralyze your will, plunging you into an endless sense of guilt. Sprezzatura breaks this fork with a single blow. The rule is simple: if any action you take leads to a loss, refuse the game itself. Do what they least expect, show an absolute zero of emotion. Do not justify yourself and do not attack. Your armor is an icy, flawless silence. The fifth favorite method of destructive leaders is the artificial devaluation of your personality through stereotypes. Instead of arguing with your facts, the manipulator hits your identity. He hangs a ready-made social label on you. You are too young, you are a woman, you are emotional, or you are just jealous. This technique is dangerous because it shifts the attention of others from the essence of the problem to discussing your persona. The victim instantly falls into the position of making excuses. You start proving that you are not like that, wasting a lot of energy defending your name while the manipulator celebrates victory. Sprezzatura destroys labels with absurd agreement. Never argue with a label. If they tell you you are too aggressive, calmly reply, "Yes, exactly. Now let us get back to my numbers." Break the script. Your composure will show that their weapon is just childish babble. The sixth trap is the illusion of objectivity. Manipulators love to mask their personal selfish interests under the guise of pseudologic and fake statistics. Phrases like, "All experts agree," "It is scientifically proven," or "Most people choose this," create powerful pressure of authority. The human brain is evolutionarily programmed to trust the pack and authorities. When you are told that everyone does this, the fear of becoming an outcast kicks in. You subconsciously shut down critical thinking and agree to slave conditions, thinking you are submitting to common sense. Sprezzatura requires removing emotions and turning on a harsh audit. To the phrase, "Everyone thinks so," coldly ask, "Who specifically?" To the phrase, "There are statistics," demand, "Show the source right now." As soon as you remove the generalizations, the manipulator's house of cards will collapse. The seventh destructive technique is the tactic of artificial time deficit. You are deliberately driven into a regime of strict time pressure. Phrases like, "You need to decide right now, you have exactly 5 minutes or the offer burns out" are created for one purpose, to force you to act on adrenaline. When a person is afraid of being late or missing a benefit, cortisol is instantly released into their blood. Biologically, the ancient fight or flight instinct kicks in at this moment. The logic of the sleeping neocortex is completely blocked. You sign any papers and agree to any enslaving conditions just to stop this pressure. Sprezzatura destroys any rush with a demonstrative slowdown. When you are rushed, deliberately make a pause. Say in an icy tone, "Since it is so urgent, my answer is no. If you want to hear a balanced decision, I need 24 hours. Take back control over time." The one who owns time owns the situation. The eighth destructive technique that millions of people fall for is the false dilemma. The manipulator deliberately narrows the entire vast world to just two polar options, one of which is notoriously terrible. You are told, either you sign this contract or we are bankrupt, either you are with me or you are my enemy. There is no third option. Under stress, our brain seeks simplification. Thinking becomes black and white. The manipulator deprives you of time to find alternatives. You choose the lesser of two evils without even realizing that in reality there were dozens of options and you were simply forced to play by someone else's rules. Sprezzatura hacks the black and white matrix with a demonstrative step outside the boundaries. When you are faced with a choice of A or B, never choose from what is offered. In an icy tone, say, "Neither. I choose option C." Expand the borders of the field. The one who creates new options breaks someone else's game. The ninth hidden trap of destructive personalities is parasitizing your sense of duty. You are imposed with a false hyper-responsibility for things you are not obliged to control. Phrases like, "I have done so much for you," or "If you leave, the project will collapse," turn your best qualities into a reason for blackmail. Good people are ideal victims. You start sacrificing your time, sleep, and money for someone else's interests, fearing to seem ungrateful or selfish. The manipulator methodically squeezes all resources out of you, leaving in return only an endless, gnawing sense of guilt from within. Sprezzatura returns you to reality with a simple question. Did I sign this debt? Understand, you are not responsible for someone else's expectations. To the phrase "you owe me," calmly and indifferently reply, "That is your opinion. My obligations are fulfilled." Cut the manipulation with the cold logic of boundaries. The 10th most dangerous method of destructive natures is mental fog or gaslighting. The manipulator tries to make you doubt your own sanity and memory. You are confidently told, "I never said such a thing, you imagined it," or "You are making it all up." Gradually, this fog corrodes your confidence. You start double-checking your every step, keeping diaries of records and blaming yourself for everything. Having lost your footing on your own perception of reality, you become an absolutely controllable puppet in someone else's hands. Sprezzatura dispels this fog with an iron fixation of facts. Never argue with a gaslighter at the level of emotions. Return their distortions to them. Calmly say, "My memory does not fail me. I clearly remember how it was. I will not discuss your inventions." Maintain faith in yourself. This is your main shield. The 11th most soul-draining technique of destructive personalities is the emotional roller coaster or behavioral inversion. The manipulator deliberately alternates between phases of intense warmth and icy cold. Today you are praised and showered with care, and tomorrow, for no apparent reason, they look at you like a blank space, ignoring calls and forcing you to beg for attention. The goal of this roller coaster is to hook your hormonal system on adrenaline and dopamine, turning you into a dependent slave. Sprezzatura breaks this ride by completely refusing to swing. When they distance themselves, do not run after them. When they approach, do not melt. Maintain an icy, flawless autonomy. Your worth does not depend on their mood. Any open aggression, shouting, or clever psychological tricks of manipulators are powerless against a person who has mastered the art of Sprezzatura. Strength is not the ability to outshout the enemy. True strength is the ability to govern the atmosphere in silence, remaining invulnerable. Subscribe to the channel if you are ready to take control of your life. Leave your opinion in the comments and remember, the one who tries to prove nothing has already won.